required to attend process groups in spring of 2018. I know that in your interviews, we discussed process groups. You will be getting an email. The email will have all the information you need to know about process groups. It is a requirement, which means when you get this email, you need to read the email and you need to register and schedule those process groups. This is not something that you need to procrastinate and wait until March to attend to, because you are required to attend at least 8 groups. And don't wait till March, April, May, June, and then panic, because sites are going to start filling up, and there's not a lot you can do unless you're willing to drive 100 miles. On the paperwork, stay on the paperwork. It's very, very important. Okay. Anything else with practicum? Network with the second year students about sites and site placements. The majority of tonight's program meeting is going to be about. So treat it like your job. So you're not getting paid for it, but it's very important that you act professionally and that you treat it like your job, because they are paying attention to you. A lot of practicum and internship sites actually do turn into job placements, because if you act professionally, they will offer you a job. Well, university supervisors will go and meet with site supervisors, and we'll hear from site supervisors that say they're probably going to get a job offer because they're acting ethically and responsible, and they're showing up on time, and they're being respectful to colleagues and peers and to their supervisors. It's very, very important. So that's wonderful feedback. Why is this important? So we'll kind of start at the top. Email. So we'll do this a little bit different than me just talking at y'all, like a talking head. Let's all talk about emails. So professional emails, what do they look like? Or what don't they look like? You can answer either question. Yes? Ooh, no slang. I like that. What else? Ooh.
They don't have smiley faces.
Okay, so maybe not a smiley face.
Or a mad face.
Okay.
You use the title of the respective person that you're emailing, like doctor, professor, etc., etc.
Okay, so using the correct title. I saw somebody else's. Thought I saw somebody else's hand. Okay. Ooh, punctuation is very important. Grammar, so no text language. So if we're saying you, we're actually spelling Y-O-U. So making an introductory statement, not just jumping into, I got a C on this assignment and da-da-da. So, hi, so-and-so, I'm in this class. This is what's going on. So taking a moment. I hope this email finds you well. So by show of hands, how many of us have hit send and immediately regretted it? It's life, right? So tone. So what's something that we can do with emails? Reread it. If we're still not sure, wonderful, wonderful advice. So if I've just gotten an email and I'm not sure how to respond to it, and I've just typed, and I'm like, I don't know about this. I may go to Dr. McCree and say, can you please come and read this? Does this sound okay? Because Dr. McCree is going to be objective and give me objective feedback and say, nope, you need to reword that piece right there. Right? Or she's going to say, yeah, no, that sounds like pretty straightforward. Because once you've hit send, unless you are like a hacker, and I don't think any counseling people are hackers, you're not getting it back. Okay? So moving on. So face-to-face, you don't really get a second chance to make a first impression. You just don't. I like to say you do, but you don't. And you are always on. You have to ask yourself, am I acting professionally? Is my peer acting professionally? You are all going to go through this program, go out into the working world, and it's not about, well, I can be professional in 2 years when I graduate, or in a year, or in a semester. If some of you are that close, congratulations. It's not about that. You have to be professional now because you are already forming opinions with people in the community, your peers, the people that know you now, maybe somebody that works at an agency that you may want to get hired at in a couple of years. You've got to take it seriously. Okay. Over the phone, same thing with emails. Titles are important. Being respectful, tone. Tone is very important. Thanking people for their time. Right. Making sure people have time before you just jump in and start talking. Hey, do you have a minute? Online, social media. Right. We all have lots of opinions about lots of things. I'm thinking about the political environment today. We all have lots of opinions. This is not a field that you can work in that you can be careless with the things that you put online. And that includes photos, includes things that you're tagged in. You have to be very careful, and you have to be very professional. Okay. I'm not trying to lecture to you. I'm trying to engage you in thinking about what this career field is, and that you're going to be gatekeepers, and that's gatekeepers of yourself, but also of other professionals. So if you see somebody acting unprofessionally or saying unprofessional things, feeling comfortable to say, hey, that's not okay.
All right, you guys, I will be talking more about the both the educational and training responsibility of the program, as well as the responsibility that we're putting on you. All right, so one of our main responsibilities is to establish clear selection of criteria when you guys are coming in, and that's what you're evaluated when you're coming in for your group interviews, when we break it to groups, when we make all these questions. We're observing, we're trying to see, because we cannot know for sure if you are a good fit or not. So I cannot say that, once you're selected, it's guaranteed that you're staying in the program, okay? Another responsibility that we have is to provide exposure to major contemporary counseling theories, and that's basically where you're gonna be finding out which theory is pretty much a good fit for you and how you're gonna be working with your clients, right? Teach students strengths and limitations of theories, as well as combining academic and personal learning. And we're gonna be talking more about the personal learning, okay? Instructor Hyatt talked about gatekeepers, and one of our responsibilities is to make sure that we screen candidates to protect public from incompetent practitioners. And I'm gonna emphasize again what I said before. Just because we are accepting you in the program, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have met all the clinical criteria to continue being in the program, okay? We continuously observe you, not only in the classroom, okay, but how you interact with your classmates, how you interact with us, how you interact with the public, with your internship, practicum sites, okay, internship sites. Also, teach a range of skills to work with diverse clients, okay, as well as providing training in ethics. This here is a very, very, very important class, okay, the ethics course, because that's where pretty much we're teaching you the majority of what you need to know in order to be an ethical and professional counselor, okay? All right, so evaluating character and psychological fitness of trainees. It is very important for us to make sure that we're observing interpersonal behaviors that have direct bearing on your clinical effectiveness, so that these factors are taken into consideration in the evaluation process. Right here we have some evaluation forms that we will share with you later on, okay? And you will be seeing that you are evaluated in, for instance, acceptable professional appearance, appropriately and positively interactions with others. Okay? All right. Character, the honesty and integrity with which a person deals with others. It's not only what you show to us, how you're interacting with us, but also how you're interacting with your colleagues. How do you work in groups? When we put you in a group setting to work with your classmates on a project, how do you interact with them? What is your behavior? What is your contribution? What happens if there is a disagreement? How do you react to those situations? Psychological fitness, the emotional or mental stability necessary to practice safely and effectively. What does this say to you? The emotional or mental stability necessary to practice safely and effectively. So if we do have issues that need to be addressed, okay, what is it our ethical responsibility to do? Supervision, yes, that's a place where we can, especially if there is an issue that we didn't even think that might be an issue, and we sit with the client, and at that moment, something happens, and it takes us aback, and we don't really know what to do with that feeling. Supervision would be a place to discuss what happened in that moment. What else? Personal counseling, yes, absolutely, personal counseling. And we should be open to personal counseling because, we are in a field where we strongly believe in receiving therapy. Okay, gatekeeper, role of faculty in promoting competence. This word, the gatekeeper, is of utmost importance to us, guys, and we're hoping that by the time you will be out of this program, gatekeeping will be one of your main goals in this field. Okay, as a faculty, we generally have a gatekeeper role, protecting consumers by identifying and intervening with graduate students who exhibit problematic behaviors. Okay, this is our responsibility. We don't say that, not this program. Okay, it's for all counseling programs. We are responsible to make sure that the students that get out of our programs are fit to be in this field, okay? If we see that they are not fit, it is our responsibility to intervene, to meet with the student, figure out what might be going on, see if we can come up with a plan to help them out, to overcome whatever it is that needs to be overcome. But if we see that it's just not a good fit, okay, then we need to help the student figure out what's the best solution for them, okay? One thing that I really want to say to you guys, and that was really drilled in my head when I was going through my master's and PhD, is that this field is something that you need to feel it within in order to be able to be in it. It's kind of like a charisma, all right? You either have it or you don't. If you have empathy, you have empathy. I and instructor Hyatt and Dr. Day and Dr. Baltimore, we cannot teach you how to be empathetic, okay? We cannot teach you how to sit with a client and really feel them, feel their pain, and understand where they're at. This is something that will come within. We can teach you the skills, okay? We can teach you the basic skills. We can teach you the theories. We can teach you techniques, okay? But the core of it needs to come within, okay? Just because you have good grades, okay, but we see that there are issues with your interpersonal behavior, okay, or serious unresolved conflicts, actions needs to be taken. So your grades do not really reflect of what type or kind of counselor you can be. A grade is a grade. In this field, that's just what it is, okay? What matters to us is how you're training, the counseling skills that you're exhibiting, okay? How are you willing to work with us when we are training you to work through those, what you call them, not boundaries, but difficulties, challenges that you might have to help you be where you want to be, hopefully, right? But I do want you to understand that your grades, they're just grades that we need to have there for you to pass, right? A's and B's, right? But what we're looking more of your skill. So you can be a grade A student, but you might not have what it takes to be in this field, okay?
So I think about with grades, you can look at a grade that you're given on, say, a test or a quiz, and you can see pretty straightforward why you received the grade that you received. Whereas with, say, like a skills class, no, not a skills class. Okay, not a good example. So we'll say practicum. So we'll say in practicum where I've listened to a tape and I'm saying, well, we really need to work on, your ability to reflect emotion, and we need to work on the utilization of silence, and we need to work on, this skill and this skill and this skill. It can be a lot harder to receive that sort of feedback. So a skill that the ability to be open to feedback, right, that can feel a lot more personal than maybe I didn't study hard enough for this quiz, right? So that's an interpersonal skill that you have to have in a counseling program. So not just the skill to receive feedback, but to actually sit with the feedback and then make movement with it. So to sit with it, think about it, reflect on it, and then make movement with it, and then in the next session with the client, utilize some of that feedback to grow as a counselor.
Okay, so well-designed gatekeeping procedures appear to improve the effectiveness with which deficient students are identified and prevent from progressing unremediated into the counseling profession. I want you to understand that when we identify any issues, we don't just say, oh, okay, you're done, okay? We go through a process of remediation. We meet with you, we talk about whatever it is that the issue might be. We have a conversation with you, and we discuss a plan that you two believe that will be you will be willing to implement. Okay, we will be there to guide you. I really want you to understand that our goal is for you to be successful. Okay, we accepted you in this program because we believed in you. We saw traits in you that we believed that will work in this field, right? And that you're trainable, and that you're going to be willing to put the work and effort to be where you want to be and where we want you to be. So even if there are issues, we will help you through them, but you need to do the work. Because if we are telling you this is what you need to work on, but you're not willing to, or you're finding 1,001 excuses not to, then there is a problem.
Advocacy, and how important it is to be an advocate if you work in this profession. So getting back on that soapbox. And that when you work in this profession, you're going to hear things from people that you don't really know that aren't in the profession, and that you have to get comfortable in your counseling voice to go up to people that you may not know that you hear talking about things that are concerning. So if you're sitting in a restaurant and the person next to you is talking about being depressed or being suicidal, that you have to get comfortable reaching out to somebody that's a stranger to you and saying, hey, it sounds like you're going through a really hard time. I'm a counselor, and making that offer and reaching out to somebody, right? And so in this program, what is your responsibility as a student to student? Well, that's a question you have to ask yourself. Well, I think it's beginning to utilize those muscles, those advocacy and gatekeeping muscles. And if you hear something being said that's unprofessional or something that's concerning to you, beginning to get comfortable saying, hey, let's think about this. Maybe it's, hey, if you're upset with another peer over something, go to that peer. If you're upset with this person, go to that person. If you're upset over this, go. You know what I mean? So beginning to utilize some of that, because it will take you a long way professionally if you can begin to utilize those professional behaviors today and for the rest of your career. When you start practicum and internship, go about it like that is your job and that you are beginning your career, because you really are, and you're beginning it in the classes with your professors and with your peers.
Your very first step is to go to the person that you have a concern or an issue with and address it. That's how it is here, and that's how it is out there in the professional work, okay? If I have a problem with Jordan, I will go to you, Jordan. I'm not going to go to Dr. Day and tell on you or to Dr. Baltimore, okay? I will come to you and say, Jordan, we need to talk. We will try to figure it out. And if we can figure it out, then we can bring other people in to mediate, not to take sides. We don't do that, but to mediate and see how we can work things out.
Gotta get the mic. So keep this in perspective, that a degree from here certifies that you can do the work of professional counseling. Means that your professors, your faculty members sign off on that document saying you're clear, you're good to go, you can do the work. If we feel you can't do the work, then should you really get the degree? Think about that. That's one of the reasons why Dr. McCree and the one and only Dr. Hyatt told you that when you get in this program, yes, it's a developmental model. We say this from day one, but there's a lot that you have to go through before you can be done. Practicum internship is very important, which is coming soon for the guys who just came in. 1 year from now, you're going to be right smack dead in front of a client, and you're going to be looking at yourself like, wow, am I really prepared for this? But if you do the work now, you'll be good to go and you have everything you need. But we got to keep that into perspective, that your mindset as being a professional starts not next year when you get the practicum internship or next semester. It starts now. You have to develop that. That's why one of the things I'm really big on is being on time to my classes. I even made it my business to be 5 minutes late so I can even say, hey, I'm like 5 minutes late and you're still not here. Because if you're 5 minutes late to a counseling session, you're fired on the spot. And most of these counseling internships, school, whatever, they don't play with that. That's very disrespectful. So your mindset got to change. Yes, you're vocal about your opinion and how you feel and what you think. That's cool, but think about everybody else's opinion. If the way you think is the only way and that's the right way, you're wrong. You're wrong. Just want to say this little story. I had this student who was kind of dear to my heart, but they burned me. Let me tell you about it. I was away attending a funeral. My uncle had prostate cancer and passed away. So the student took it upon herself to email me, call my phone, whatever. I'm busy. I'm out of the town. Can't get in contact with you. So she takes it all the way up to my boss, who's department chair, Dr. Hackett, to say, hey, I've been trying to get in contact with Dr. Day. There's no response. Let me say this. First of all, you got to give me time to respond to your email. And other students knew what was going on, so talk to your peers. And then months later, a student comes and say, I want a recommendation letter. Why would I give you a letter? Keep in mind, your professors are very important to you. Getting a letter from an adjunct is one thing, but getting a letter from a faculty member says a lot. And you may want to further your education, go into a doc program. I have students who say, Doc, I want to go into a doctoral program. I want to apply to Auburn. I went to Auburn. But if I really can't vouch for you and say that I believe that you can do it and you can go to Auburn and do what you got to do, I'm not going to give you a letter. Why? Because your professionalism in the classroom didn't speak of what they dictate over at Auburn, which is totally different from here, that you can do it. Not to discourage someone and say, hey, you can't do it. You could do it. You just may not be able to do it over there. Because the expectation level at Auburn is here. That even when I got in the program, I had a bunch of come to Jesus meetings. So what I'm telling you to say this is that you got to understand, it's a lot of paperwork that you have to fill out, from internships to practical applications. What are they going to say? We need a recommendation letter. Did they not say that? People who, can I get an amen, please? Who are you going to come to? Who can vouch for your work ethic? Academics, intellectual abilities, your professors do that. So keep that in mind. If you don't talk in class, I said this today, if you don't participate, what can I say about you? Oh, that person's mighty quiet. I think they do an excellent job. I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm just making you understand that that's very important. You're supposed to work with people's lives, supposed to be able to take charge, to take control of a session and do the work. But if you come to class and you just sit there, what can I say? Oh, I looked at a session, that was enough. It's not enough, because you still had to work with teams. Most people who have a single private practice never do well. Why? Because it's just them. And it doesn't work like that in our profession. Participate in class. That's extremely important. Get involved with these counseling organizations, Chi Sigma Iota, LPCA or GA. If there's not one that you believe we should have, start one. Get involved in communities and organizations, NAMI's here and in Columbus. The ACA, American Counseling Association Conference, will be in Atlanta. Get involved with that. Send out an email. Hopefully someone forwarded over. That you can volunteer and get a discount. And get involved. This is your profession. Like, you just can't come here and think that, oh, I got it, I'm going to get it, I have everything I need. If that's the case, I would rather you leave and go to an online program. Honestly, I'm not even joking. Because maybe you didn't want to do everything that you could do to be the best that you can be. One thing I don't like are mediocre counselors. Why? Did you do the additional training that you needed to be successful? You can't learn it all from me, Baltimore, McCree, and Hyatt. The stuff that you can do to make your life better and be the best professional counselor that you can be. That's what I stand for. So keep that in mind. When you come to class late or you don't send an email or you miss this or do that, we understand life things happen. We get it. But understand that graduate school is a choice. You don't really have to be here. You have to really want this thing. We're not preparing you for teaching. We're not preparing you for Master of Public Health. We're preparing you to work in mental health. You are considered a medical professional. Sadly, we're in college ed, but in the clinical world, you are a medical professional. In the school, you are the mental health professional in a school. You're dealing with someone's life. I take that very seriously. Now we're going to have words from Dr. Baltimore. But let me say this. I say that out of love. I don't say that to be threatening. I say that because I care, and I care about what we do. Students know, but the new ones don't know. I stand at the Capitol fighting with senators and representatives of the great state of Georgia to fight for your right to diagnose, to fight for you to do various things. And when students don't take advantage of opportunities that we offer here, don't take these things serious, that's almost a slap in my face. So if I have to vouch for you, when you leave here, you're going to be tight. You're going to be good to go. You're going to have the skills in order to be successful. No further anything from me. I have to go. Thank you for coming. Baltimore.
Hey, can we hear from Dr. Day? He's got to make it. Thank you, sir. Yeah, nice job. Hey, I'm not going to talk very much. One of the things I would say is that I support what our colleagues my colleagues have said to you today. How important it is to be the professional that you can be. I think for me, we kind of come back to the idea of the core values of the program. And these are the counseling values that you need to be aware of. And sometimes what we do is sort of split, and we think that we'll learn these things and apply it to the clients out there once we get into practicum, and then we'll get a job afterwards and so forth. But these counseling values are very important that we act on today with our colleagues, with your professors, with all of us, and anyone else you encounter in this college and during this training. And those are the values of empathy, the ability to see it from someone else's point of view. Congruence, being straight with who you are, what you believe, how you feel, and how you project that and talk about it and act in that way. Has to be consistency with that. A primary thing for me is authenticity, this idea of really being authentic and who you are in the moment. It's tough sometimes. We want to put on that front. We want to be something that we're not. We want to kind of push the envelope. But when it comes down to it, the most important thing you can be is you and be authentic. And when you don't know, it's okay to say you don't know. And then use those core values in the interactions with each other, in interactions with faculty, with staff, I might add, staff as well, particularly at practicum sites. And you're going to be successful if you kind of keep that in mind. It's accessing what you know and then using it in the situation. And I'll end with this. A friend of mine talks about leaning in. He says sometimes you get this conflict. This thing happens to you. It takes you off balance. It might be directly at you. And it sparks feelings and other kind of things. And he says this, take it in, take a breath, give yourself time, breathe in, breathe out, and take that moment to try to understand where the other person's coming from, because they may have had some difficulty in their life that you're not aware of, and you can be in that moment. You could be the professional just in that moment to lean in and try to help understand what that person's going through. You need to practice these kind of principles now. Do it with each other. Start tonight. Start yesterday. All right, that's all. I'm off my soapbox now. Thank you guys for doing a good job.
No, thank you all for coming on a Wednesday night or for powering through if you stayed through class. Thank you so much.